But Sarah came up with her own brilliant idea. She said, I tell you what, I need a surrogate mom. That's what I need, a surrogate mom. So she looked at Hagar and she thought, she's young. She'll be able to bear a child for me. And so she discussed it with Abraham, said, Abraham, how do you feel like if I give you another woman to sleep with? Abraham, the father of our faith, said, oh, honey, which tent is she in? He didn't even consult God. The father of our faith just decided when his wife gave him permission to do something wrong, he said, I'll see you tomorrow night, Sarah. I've got business to do tonight. And off he went into Hagar's tent. And of course, we know the story that Hagar fell pregnant, and within a short time, her belly grew within her. As Abraham's child grew within her belly, Hagar began to despise Sarah. She began to look down on Sarah. Maybe she thought, I'm carrying the heir of this great man of God, not his wife. Maybe she thought that her position will be exalted once the baby's born. And who knows, she might have thought that maybe Sarah could have been kicked to the curb and she'll take Sarah's position. Maybe she looked down at Sarah. Maybe she despised Sarah. Well, the Bible says she did despise Sarah. And the Bible also tells us she was become arrogant, treating her boss badly, treating a woman of God badly. And she despised her. The Bible says that if you look up the word despise, it means that you look at someone as worthless. Now she's looking at Sarah as, you're worthless, Sarah. You can't do it. You can't cut it. You can't have a baby, but I can have a baby. You're too old. I'm young. You might be pushed to the curb and I might take your position. In fact, maybe one day when my child is grown and you don't have a child, then all the inheritance will come to my child and not yours. So she looked down on Sarah as Sarah was worthless and she despised her. She looked down on Sarah and made Sarah feel inferior. Sarah must have felt inferior because she was barren and now her husband had gone to be another woman and the other woman's belly is growing right in front of her. And now she says, Abraham, you're responsible for all this. All the suffering I'm going through, everything I'm being despised, my servant girl's looking down at me, it's all your fault. Isn't that something, girls? Isn't that something? Sarah blaming Abraham, all your fault? Really, Sarah? You didn't have anything to do with this? It wasn't your idea to have a surrogate mom, Sarah? And so she nagged him. But isn't it true that wounded girls wound others? Wounded people wound others. So when Hagar had acted with arrogance, it triggered off an avalanche of rage that came out of Sarah's wounded heart, and she buried Abraham in a tsunami of emotional upheaval, causing Abraham to throw his hands in the air, my version, and say, do whatever you want with this girl Hagar. How many times don't we nag men until they say, I can't take it anymore, do whatever you want to do? We have that ability. Don't look at me as if you haven't done it. We've all done it, right? And so Abraham, do whatever you want to do with Hagar. And you know what? We see that Sarah now mistreated Hagar. Look at the cycle of pain. Look at the cycle of pain. Hagar, Sarah started it. Sarah started it by saying, go and sleep with her. Then when Hagar got pregnant, she despised Sarah. She looked at Sarah as worthless. Now the cycle of pain is coming back because Sarah is now abusing Hagar. Perhaps she made her go and work far down the end with the camels. Who knows? Maybe she gave her extra work to do. Perhaps she belittled her. We don't know, but we know that she did not treat her right. And we know that Sarah wounded Hagar. So how did Hagar respond to Sarah's treatment? Hagar responded to Sarah's bad treatment by running away. How many of us women, when we are confronted with hurts and pains and wounds or hurt, the first thing we want to do is run. We want to run. We want to turn our backs and run. And you know what, girls? We want to run out of church. We want to run from the house of God. We want to run from our women of God. We want to run from our small group. We want to run right out the presence of God when we are hurt by people of God. We want to run from staying connected because we think it's better out there. Maybe Hagar felt that everything was stacked against her. Maybe you feel that you come from a dysfunctional family. I want to give you good news today. Everyone comes from a dysfunctional family. If you look at your family tree, there are a few nuts somewhere, I promise you. We all have got a little nut if you go down your family tree. So don't come to me, Pastor Babe, I'm from a dysfunction. We all are. Some degree or another. No one has a perfect family. Perhaps someone that you've loved has died and you feel abandoned. Maybe you've moved so many times that you're tired of being uprooted all the time. Maybe you've been wounded the way people have treated you at work and you never get the promotions, you never get the raises. Perhaps your father left you and he abandoned you and you feel abandoned and rejected. Perhaps you have to work 2 jobs because your husband left you and you've got children and you've got to be the breadwinner in the house and you're wounded because of that and you work so hard and it's only up to you. Perhaps you've been abused as a child. Perhaps you've been abused as a teenager. Perhaps you just feel like, hey, I want to get away from it all. Who has wounded you today? Was it a person in church? Was it an in-law? Was it a spouse? Was it a friend? Was it a boss? Who has humiliated you? Hannah Smith, one of the best Christian writers of all time, she went through deep periods of depression, discouragement, despair. 4 of her 7 children died before adulthood. One daughter divorced her husband and ran off with another man. The other daughter left her faith and ran off with an atheist man, abandoned her faith. Her husband was an international evangelist at the time. He had several nervous breakdowns and several affairs that led to public scandal. Friends abandoned her. Arthritis crept into her body and her hands and caused her great pain, and yet she still held on to her faith in Jesus, and she wrote books like The Christian Secret of a Happy Life and The God of All Comfort. When we look around us, we will see that everyone's been wounded to some degree or another. But how we handle our wounds will determine whether we stay wounded or we become whole.
Thank you for watching Dr. Bev's YouTube channel. We will continue to offer dynamic and uplifting highlights from Dr. Bev's messages. Please take the time to like and share the videos. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep watching the Dr. Beverly Wolmarans YouTube channel.